You're listening to the Allman Report on NewsTalkSTL.
Good fancy Friday evening, everyone. This is the Allman Report, NewsTalkSTL 101.9 and 94.1. Thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. And it is getting better every day. It's crazy. So it appears that President Trump and much of his team, they're wasting like no time at all in any way, shape, or form to get right out of the blocks with a vengeance, it seems. So this was actually one of the funnier clips coming out of Trump world. And this was President Trump's lawyer, Mike Davis. And you all know what an obnoxious person Letitia James happens to be as the New York AG. And, of course, you all know that she promised, as the newly elected Attorney General of New York, to go after
What would you say to people who say, oh, I'm not going to bother
Donald
to register
Trump.
to vote because my voice doesn't make a difference, or I'm just one person?
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your ass and vote.
Yeah. So anyway, she promising to send him to prison and do whatever. So now we have the specter of some kind of resurrection of the Letitia James charges or what have you. And Mike Davis goes on the air and basically says, you know what? No, girl.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term. Because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights.
I mean, that's really pretty solid right there. I love the way these guys talk. I think all bets are off, as all gloves should be off as well. I think now is the time not to play nice with these people. You could see how they're pussyfooting around. You could see how Jack Smith is already kind of like, oh, we're going to go ahead and give up and slink away. It's like, not so fast, dudes. We're going to find out what you've been up to through our own Justice Department. And Letitia James, this guy, he doesn't worry about much, and neither does President Trump, who right out of the blocks. I mean, this is actually kind of early, but I love it. I mean, because you know, just yesterday we were talking about General Flynn, and we were talking about how General Flynn, in so many ways, was saying, hey, from day one, when you get in there, you gotta do this from day one. You gotta take care of business, and you gotta start wiping out the deep state, and you gotta just take care of business because these guys are going to be trouble for you. So the very next day, President Trump is saying, hey, I've got a big plan to go ahead and shatter the deep state, and it's very detailed. I'm going to let you listen to all 3 minutes and 39 seconds of it with some interruptions by me. But I like this style. I like this guy who didn't come out and say, you know, I want to now we just need peace and bring the country together. I was like, no, on behalf of even the people who didn't vote for Trump, there needs to be a comeuppance and a fumigation of the people who caused the problem in the first place that led to the rise of Donald J. Trump, and necessarily so. So in many ways, in a backhanded way, and in a comfortable way, Trump is kind of, at this stage of the game, doing even people who didn't vote for him a favor. Because maybe next time they have some shot at having some credibility as a unit, whatever. But here he is.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them.
Yeah, just as General Flynn said yesterday. And very interesting, President Trump didn't, the minute, he won the election, didn't decide, I'm just going to go play some golf and relax a little bit. I mean, this is 3 days after the election, and he's already has although I think he had one before this, but he already has a very detailed plan about making sure that this golden age that he predicted for America is not derailed by any of these spooks and true weirdos in the bureaucracy.
The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications.
Yeah. This is him, knowing that even in 2016, maybe he should have done this, but he had other priorities and other distractions. And now he's doubling back to his first term and the deep state spying on him and others in his administration.
So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption.
Wow. Yeah. Truth and Reconciliation Committee. I like that. And that, of course, is going to open up, as we all predicted, when Trump becomes president, he's going to just start opening up all the cupboards and letting people see what's in there.
And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy.
And you all know how the leakers did indeed subvert President Trump's presidency. They were all over the place. And I don't know how you do that necessarily, but I think to a certain degree, you can lock things down. I mean, the corporations do it all the time. And they know what's going on and what contacts are made or what have you. And I don't know what it all involves, but I do know there are people, even in the deep state and in Trump's world, who know how to do it.
When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every inspector general's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign.
Yeah. I love this because he is out for blood, and he should be. And now's not the time for unity with the bad people. And I'm not talking about now's not the time for unity with Democrats, because there are plenty of them out there who are sensible ones who were betrayed by the Kamala Harris lie, were betrayed by the vicious attacks on Donald Trump that were unnecessary and, in fact, helped them lose the election even more. I'm talking about this is not the time for unity with the deep state spooks, the leaders like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, people like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, and Joe Biden, for that matter, and Kamala Harris, for that matter. Now's not the time for unity and peace with them. That's not going to be happening. Now's not the time for unity with George W. Bush or Dick Cheney or any of those people. Now is the time to go ahead and fumigate the political world and the world of governance and get rid of them altogether. They are termites. They are bad people, and they will get in the way of Donald Trump's agenda.
Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately.
I love that idea. I love the idea of, like, with the Bureau of Land Management. I even forgot about that. I didn't even know it happened. Moving it to Colorado, or moving even the CIA someplace else, for crying out loud. Who knows? It kind of is along the lines of what I thought were pretty good moves on the part of Jason Smith, who's a congressman from Missouri. And remember, at the time they were holding some of these budget hearings and everything else, and he'd hold these hearings outside of Washington. And this is a really good idea, even cosmetically. I mean, even the way it would look is to have agencies and government agencies that have to live with the people they supposedly are serving, as opposed to wind up in kind of this private club, this cloistered club in Washington, D.C. And that's part of the problem, is these people all kind of live together. They all live in the same treehouse. And maybe it's time to kind of break up the gang. It's kind of like when you're in class, and this actually happened to me a lot, where they move your desk because you're a pain in the rear, and they kind of move you around over here, move you around over there, or they split little groups of friends up and put them over here and put them over there and put them over there, just so they're focused on the scholastics at hand.
Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies.
I mean, the music is completely unnecessary, by the way. That's not our music or Ethan's music or anything else. That's actually in that tape. Sometimes, Ethan, I think that when they do these videos, I mean, I like it, but sometimes I just want to hear what he has to say. I don't need the drama,
I've noticed they do that music all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And sometimes it's too loud.
Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? They don't mix it down at all. They really leave it in there.
I mean, I'm noticing now, I'm trying to listen to him, but now I'm having to compete with this orchestra. And I think they're thinking that, well, if we just kind of keep this going to list 10, we'll turn it up and it'll have this dramatic effect. But what they're doing is they're turning it up, and then I can't hear him.
Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time.
Hey, horns and strings, shut up just for 40 more seconds, please.
With Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. I mean, I'll take what I can get. I laugh at the music and everything, but I'll take what I can get on that level. That's just kind of like, you guys, these guys, for the most part, especially when they were doing their commercials, I mean, the production level of the Trump magic is great. I don't mean to complain about it or anything like that. I'm just saying sometimes just when you had me like, whoa, what else? I have to deal with Leonard Bernstein. All right, so here we go. The Wallner home selling team. I got to tell you, thank you, Rodney and Jen Wallner, for supporting free, common sense, conservative radio. You are the bomb, people. And you also guarantee that you're going to get a home sold, which I love about you guys. You guys have had this track record where you have all these people who are ready to rock and roll when it comes to making sure that they're hungry to buy a home. So they've already cultivated that list. They've got a separate group of people who do that. And then when you call the Wallner home selling team, 314-810-SOLD, what they do is they say, well, look, we've got a list of 15 people who want that type of home, and now we're just going to let them fight over it and get you the best price imaginable on your home. And that's the Wallner home selling team promise. There are no contracts whatsoever. They are licensed in Illinois as well and ready to rock and roll with you. And thank you, Rodney and Jen Wallner of the Wallner home selling team, for your support of free, common sense, conservative radio.
You're listening to the Allman Report on NewsTalkSTL.
You guys, believe me, I'm onto something here. And because we were talking about strings and symphonies and everything else, I decided to start this particular little bit with a group called VSQ, where they perform hard rock hits, And this is Strung Out Volume 4. And I wonder if any of you can actually decipher what the name of this song is, like what rock and roll hit they're covering. You probably can't. But if you look up a song called, do you know what it is, Ethan?
No, but
Okay.
I can tell I do. I think I do.
Yeah. So if you look it up, just look up a song called Crazy Bee blank, 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 blank. And you'll listen to the string version of it, and you can listen to the other version of it, because I've got a couple of Crazy Bees here to help you hear about. I just can't. I don't really feel comfortable playing the whole song on the radio necessarily. Here's Crazy Bee number 1. And keep in mind, it's the Trump supporters and everybody who are violent, right? Or whatever. This is a woman who is so angry that she decided to purchase a gun. Now, of course, she won't be investigated, right? I don't know whether you saw this fake story about how there were a bunch of people, like black kids and people, getting text messages from a Trump supporter saying, hey, by the way, we're going to put you in plantation number 1. Welcome to slavery and all this kind of stuff. When, of course, that wouldn't be a Trump supporter doing it, right? There wouldn't be anybody doing something like that. It's obviously the gaslighting weirdos in the Democrat Party and the libs who are doing that, because they've been promoting this whole idea that President Trump's going to make people slaves and everything else and send them back to this and send them back to that. And Trump has never said a word about that. And in fact, to the point where blacks didn't believe what they were being told about going back to slavery and all that. So it didn't make any sense, but every Hollywood celebrity who loved Kamala and everything else is like retweeting this. Oh, it's menace. The FBI is investigating. Well, they're not investigating this woman.
I would go as far to say that I would purchase a Glock, and if you and I are walking on the same street and it's dark out and you're a white male, you have to be white for this to count, okay? If you're a white male, even if you don't approach me, I will shoot you. Yeah, I know. So,
yeah. Now, of course, if this were some kind of Trump supporter, although it would never be, talking about shooting like a black male specifically because of their color of their skin, this would be like the number 1 story on all the newscasts. But these haggarific weirdo ladies, they all look the same for some reason. I don't know why that is, but they're all straight out of Central Casting. It's pretty crazy. But the FBI is investigating all these fake tweets and fake text messages, but they're not investigating this one.
has to be on the street, you and I, has to be at nighttime. During the day, not so much, but at nighttime, okay? And you have to have very white skin and be a male.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is you'd think that this was like fake. You'd think that this was put up by somebody just wanting to make liberals look bad. And the fact of the matter is it's completely, totally not fake at all. This woman is real. Now, she's got a TikTok account, but this was put forth by the libs of TikTok, who always find this great stuff. And they're looking at, in some ways, trying to find her name. Oh, her Instagram says her name is Kate Gallion. And they've got her whole Instagram up there and decided to find her. So if you want to have some fun this weekend, then look up Kate Gallion on Instagram and see how she's doing. Maybe you could even ask her and say, hey, I'm a white man. I'm walking down the street. I'm wondering where you are. Because I have a Glock too. So just in case. And this is another one. This is a woman who went on, and she's a poli-sci professor, Dr. Arlene. And this is the difference between November 5th and November 6th, and it's beautiful.
We're closing in on almost 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I've been tracking everything that's been going on across the country today. And my most important encounter was when I went out.
I mean, by the way, she looks like every other woman who acts like this. And I don't know what it is about these women. I don't know whether they just all go to the same salon, or do they all talk to each other about how to look when you're being a nasty woman? I don't know. So it's the short, kind of maybe even spiked hair, whatever that happens to be, and then these, glasses that really look bad on you, but nonetheless show you to be kind of like more severe and everything else. And they give you this kind of severe look to yourself. And if, by the way, you are conservative and you look like that, I'm sorry. You look like a lib. No, I'm just kidding. But if you are, I'm sorry. But it just seems like they all look alike. I'm not kidding you.
To get my champagne, I was talking to the guy in the store, of course, asking him, did he vote? And he said he did early voting, and he asked me if I early voted. And he asked me, why I was getting the champagne. And I said, because I'm going to be toasting Madam President tonight. And he just looked at me with kind of like a smirk on his face. And I said, she's going to win this, right? And he says, oh, well, it's very, very close. And I said, no, it's not. He says, well, what do you mean? I said, no, it's not. The women of America are making their voices heard. Reproductive rights is what it all comes down to. And the women are voting in numbers relative to men that are unbelievable. She's won this. And I said to him, she's going to take every one of the swing states plus Iowa. And he said, oh, but the numbers are...
She was the one tricked by that fake Iowa poll that had Kamala up 3 points, and then she wound up losing by 13 points, which means that harpy who had the polling operation was off by 16 points. So that was the thing, by the way, I know that, and that was carrying most of the left-wing kooks for the day. It gave them, like on Monday, it gave them this weird hope that Kamala was going to win Iowa by 3 points. And so, because I told you how Kaysen messaged me and everything else. Oh, Iowa, LOL. And so Iowa. And it's so funny how these people all act the same. It's so weird. They have this weird herd mentality, especially when it comes to being hateful or just plain stupid and misguided. It's always like one thing. Because you remember, like, for instance, when Ukraine happened, and everybody had Ukraine as their avatar, and they all went out and got stickers for their car, and they all did Ukraine, we love you, Ukraine, and wanted war like you wouldn't believe. These are all people who would fancy themselves as liberals and whatever, and even sons and daughters of peaceniks, and they're like loving war like you wouldn't believe, especially funding it with unlimited amounts of tax dollars. But anyway, this herd mentality, you just throw this little piece of meat out there, and it's always based on a lie. It's always based on some kind of fantasy. And it's so weird to see these groups of piglets all feeding off the same big pig. If you can do the image, right? The big pig, which is the big lie, and then all the little piglets all suckling on the big lie. And Iowa was just that. Oh, yeah, Iowa. She's going to win Iowa.
Numbers relative to men that are unbelievable. She's won this. And I said to him, she's going to take every one of the swing states plus Iowa. And he said, oh, but the numbers are so close. I said, I'm a political analyst. I'm telling you right now, the numbers are there. She's taking this election. And then I said to him, you realize, and he didn't tell me who he voted for, but of course I knew. And I said, you do realize you wasted your vote, right? And I didn't care. And I walked out with my bottle of champagne and happily walked home.
I love this so much. Yeah. So then this is the next day, and she looks about 10 years older. It's the election hangover. Here's the same cackler that you heard from before. I love this so much.
So, as you know, Kamala Harris did not win the election. As the numbers stand right now, there were 18 million fewer votes than in 2020. And as I have said all along, you have to have a huge, huge turnout, and it goes to the Dems. And we didn't have it.
We did have a huge turnout, and it went to Republicans. Dummy.
There is one fundamental thing that you cannot account for when you're using data to predict or project the outcome of an election, is you can't factor in the impact of racism or the existence of racism and misogyny.
Yeah, and so much like it was with the Ukraine, or much like it was with Iowa, the piglets are sucking on the mama pig who tells them that the election results are evidence of misogyny and racism. And that's actually knowing that the numbers of blacks voting for Donald Trump, the numbers of women, specifically suburban white women voting for Donald Trump, the numbers of Hispanics voting for Donald Trump, the number of Asians voting for Donald Trump, the number of Arab American Muslims voting for Donald Trump soared like they have never soared before for a Republican ever in the history of man. So I'm not quite sure how these people are doing their calculations or what goes into their calculations, but it's very, very odd. I mean, and here is the other part of it. And there's a really good article on the American Spectator, but it's an article. I'm not really going to read it to you because reading stuff sometimes on the air isn't always very interesting. But the gist of it is, you know what? How dare you betray us white liberals after all that we've done for you? So there's one hand where this woman is like blaming it on misogyny and racism, and actually there's zero evidence. In fact, there's plenty of counter evidence to indicate that there was no such thing as being any part of this in any way, shape, or form, misogyny or racism. Then, of course, next couple of days he hires a woman, the first woman ever in the history of presidential politics to be the president's White House chief of staff. So anyway, and then you have the other big lie. So you have this blaming something that doesn't exist, and then you have the real resentment. That's where you saw the people, Scarboroughs of the world and others who were calling black people misogynists and racists and calling Hispanics racists. I mean, that's how crazy it got. But the long and short of this is, among the liberals, it's how dare you, especially I'm talking about the white liberals, how dare you betray us after all we've done for you? We put Black Lives Matter signs in our yard. And look what you've done to us. We helped elect Barack Obama. And this is what you've done for us. And you know what? The Democrat Party even freed the slaves. No, they didn't. In fact, it wasn't the Democrat Party at all. But that's their belief. And so what they feel like now, many of them do, is that black people betrayed them because black people didn't obey the white liberal. And you all know, this has been something I've been saying for years on the air, that there's nothing more damaging to this country than the white liberal, specifically the white liberal male. But as we're seeing now, the white liberal females, they are the worst because they're all about tokenism. You notice that one I played you, I guess it was last week or maybe it was Monday, with the white woman in pink yelling at the black woman as she talked about her support for Donald Trump. And invested in that whole argument was, of course, this idea that somehow, some way, this black woman owed it to Kamala Harris and to white liberals to vote for Kamala Harris and not Donald Trump. And that was inherent in the whole system. So these people, and I don't care about this. I'm not going to be part of deconstructing the Democrat Party. It's their job. They broke it. I'm not going to help them fix it, and I don't want it fixed. They are useless, as has been the Republican Party until Donald Trump got a hold of it. So I'm not interested in re-prosecuting the election or anything else, but there are things that are very, very telling about what happened, especially in the news media, and I'll bring you that on this other side, and then we're going to get to Doug Giles as well. Don't forget, my friends, that we've got this beautiful little program for you, and it is a great one at Newstetter's Fine Jewelry. So with Newstetter's, you're getting a layaway program. You are getting a wish list that you can put your favorite things on that wish list, and then your husband or wife even, because they do these great Frank Sinatra watches, can find out exactly what you like and not miss a beat and hit a home run on Christmas Day or over the holidays, whatever it happens to be. And so that's a great thing. It's just like the old flavor you get. And Newstetter's Fine Jewelry and Richard and Jackie and Eric and Diana and Anna and Cindy, these folks are just amazing people who are absolutely in love with this country, in love with God, and loving you as well. Loving you enough to give you fine products like the lab-grown diamonds, which are absolutely beautiful, as well as the mined diamonds. So all of it there is perfect for you, and it's a great price. And plus, you're dealing with an operation that loves free common sense conservative radio. It's Newstetter's Fine Jewelry, Doherty Ferry and Big Bend, and, ladies and gentlemen, right there at wowdiamonds.com.
You're listening to the Allman Report on NewsTalkSTL.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday to all of you. It's the Allman Report, NewsTalkSTL. Jamie Allman here, pleased and privileged to be with you. And speaking of some real evidentiary problems that even the news media had when it came to their understanding of people's problems, they didn't really care enough to understand about it, which is why you got this idea somehow that when people were complaining about grocery prices, they were overdoing it. Well, it's not really that bad. It's been bad before. It's not really that bad. It's not really that bad. And you always figured, well, they're they just don't live in reality, or they seem to know something that we don't know, or what have you. But rarely in the aftermath of this whole thing could you possibly imagine that somebody would reveal themselves to be completely in the dark. So how many times did you hear Joe Scarborough? You probably didn't hear him that much unless those of us in conservative radio played him just for the purposes of exposition. But how many times did Joe Scarborough dismiss the concerns of regular, average, everyday Americans who were seeing their grocery prices skyrocketing? And how many times did you have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and these other people claiming somehow that this was really all related to gouging? Even though we know the profit margins of these grocery stores absolutely wasn't even nearly the percentage that they were assuming it was. I mean, they got a 1% in some cases. And so the reality is pricing was through the roof. Many of us noticed post-2020 that pretty much everything went up about $3, $3.50, whatever. A lot of it was just stuff that we buy all the time. Peanut butter, milk, any kind of chip you're buying, for crying out loud. I mean, potato chips, whatever. My God, these were everything was so expensive. You know, and you had these, you looked at, I'm not talking about even just booze, but you're looking at all the other commodities out there. And then you look at electricity and gas. You look at tires. I mean, everything was more expensive. Building materials. I mean, all kinds of stuff going up. But the grocery store was where a lot of people were really being hit, although many small businesses were being hit by these large increases in things that they otherwise took for granted. And even if it just boils down to farm implements or construction equipment or what have you. And then you had all these limitations then on write-offs and things like that, but that's another, I don't want to get down that hole here. So Joe Scarborough is on the Morning Joe this morning and still can't figure out how Kamala Harris lost so bad. And then himself was shocked to learn about the high prices of groceries. And actually, to Mika's credit, she actually seems to know what a pound of butter is priced at. She seems to have at least a knowledge of it, so do other people. But Joe Scarborough's absolutely in the dark about it. And you'd think that a person who was legitimately trying to defend Kamala Harris or whatever, or legitimately trying to explore some of the problems that Americans were having with groceries and with the current administration, that you would think that maybe you want to check it out yourself. Or maybe you want to ask your wife, who apparently knows what a pound of butter costs. I mean, you seem to see her every day. You work with her every day. You have dinner with her, whatever. You live with her. But Joe Scarborough apparently didn't care enough. This is probably one of the more damning things Joe Scarborough could have possibly done. And yet it didn't seem to occur to him to just check and see like what the reality was.
I want to talk about economy for a second. A few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somebody who was going to be voting for Kamala Harris came up to me and said, "Oh my God, Trump's going to win." I go, "Why is that?" He goes, I went to the grocery store. Butter's over $3. I kind of laughed and I said, well, that's kind of reductive, isn't it? Said it to myself. To him, I smiled and I said, good point. But it actually, everything we're hearing after the election is,
I'm just saying, the 7.
What's that?
The $7.
What's that? Butter is $7?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, and again, this isn't the crime of the century, but keep in mind, they were all thinking it was the crime of the century for you to believe that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were doing a bad job. And you could see it in your grocery prices. So the crime of the century for people like Scarborough is that you're just stupid. You don't really know. And you're claiming butter is really expensive. And then it's Mika who has to tell him, yeah, man, yeah, Joe, who I live with, butter is expensive.
Butter is $7?
Yeah.
What? Is it framed in gold?
Okay. I mean, this is a guy who obviously, clearly hasn't been to a grocery store in recent history and hasn't cared to explore what the hell is going on in regular people's lives. And so, you know, people call him Morning Joe, like he's Morning Joe, like he's just a regular Joe. Well, this guy had to be schooled by a woman he actually lives with on the price of butter.
Anyway, where you go. But
okay, well, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, my point is...
Anyway, I mean, what kind of lazy left-wing kookery is that? Oh, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. No, it's only what cost your dimwit an election because you didn't bother in any way, shape, or form to try to even investigate what people's real problems were. Crazy.
This, Willie, the rent is too damn high, and this guy was saying the cost of butter is way damn too high.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was a bit reductive. It ended up being just the point that
I mean, this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. I mean, it is unbelievable, but that's the way it goes on Morning Joe, and I don't have to worry about those people anymore. I will tell you that I do want to worry about whether or not you're still going to Johnny's Hideout because you got to get down there this weekend. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Johnny's Hideout, and you know my buddy Rick Pogue is the co-owner. They have brand new pizzas for you, the coldest beer inland, and you also have, folks, I got to tell you, 40 different TVs to watch the college games on and also to watch the football, the NFL games as well. Incredible menu, fantastic dinner special every single evening. So it could be a, chicken fried steak, could be a great smash burger, whatever it happens to be. I know I'm making you hungry even as late as it is. But check it out tomorrow or even head out there still because they're open late, or make sure you go there Sunday because they're open 7 days a week serving lunch and dinner. They're right there at High Ridge, just 10 minutes from 270 in Gravois. Johnny's Hideout STL on Facebook, jhideout.com on the web, and all you have to do is check it out, and they've got all their music listed there and everything else. All right, so the great Doug Giles, I cannot wait to hear what he has to say. He's going to be up in just a few minutes here, and I have to tell you, too, after that, because I don't think we took in the moment enough, so after that, as part of the Fancy Friday, I'm going to allow you to kind of relive Monday, like towards the end of the show, when we were hoping we knew what was going to happen, we didn't know, and then we're going to flash back then to Tuesday, and the first time I hit the air since President Trump won re-election and started in to usher in, pulled a Grover Cleveland and started it in to usher in a brand new golden age in America. So that's going to come your way in the second hour of the Allman Report. Happy Fancy Friday to all of you. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and thank you to all of our sponsors as well. Got to tell you a story about going to Le Meridian in Clayton, and I'll do that on Monday. I'm going to put some pictures on Facebook over the weekend. You haven't seen anything yet until you've seen this beautiful place. Phil Powers, thanks for the hookup on that. This is Common Sense Radio.
You're listening to the Allman Report on NewsTalkSTL.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Fancy Friday. And as always on a Fancy Friday, I've got my awesome buddy, the great Doug Giles, who I'm sure had one heck of a week beginning on Tuesday. But again, we talked last week, and we know and we knew the writing was on the wall. I don't know how many people, though, on election night I had to kind of talk off the ledge. I was so nervous. I'm so nervous. I don't know what to do. This is so light. I go, don't worry about it. There's no way this chick is going to win. And indeed, it didn't happen. How are you, bud?
Jamie, doing good, man. Kicking ass.
Well, speaking of kicking ass, I'm really happy to see, and I played this Mike Davis bit earlier when he talked about sending Letitia James's fat ass to prison. But it looks like even when President Trump, with his rollout of his planned takedown, dismantling of the deep state, these guys are wasting no time. I mean, he's not even taking one beat to have a spot of tea at Mar-a-Lago. He's ready to rock, and I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah, I bet a lot of testicles and penises and rectums, sphincters are shrinking and tightening all over from sea to shining sea, Jamie, because not only did they try to impeach him, not only did they charge him with 34 specious felonies, and then put a couple of assassins in his way and whiz a bullet by his ear or through his ear at 300 feet per second. But they've obstructed him and us, for the last, God, it says 4 years. It feels like it's the last 4 decades.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know what they say about paybacks, and I think they should be concerned because the stuff that they did was not petty; it was criminal, and Trump's going to gut the deep state, and a lot of bureaucrats are also going to get their jobs hosed by Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump, and so yeah, it's time for kind of like a Jack Nicholson clearing of the table in 5 easy pieces, where we see a lot of crap that's been taking up way too much space and money. Just go the way of the trash can. And I'm, for one, Jamie, cannot wait till this coalition gets ensconced in 1600 Penn Ave and watch them go to work of really recreating the United States, where we hit a Renaissance level, a reformation, Jimmy, a revival of that grand experiment in self-governance, because I am so sick of this Marxist bull crap, and I hope I don't get to see it until I take the big dirt nap, the audio snooze, the eternal siesta.
Yeah. By the way, that scene in 5 Easy Pieces is just absolutely the greatest. I'd encourage you just to look up Jack Nicholson 5 Easy Pieces and restaurant scene, and it is like a diner scene. It's just the best. So, you know what this appears to be, which is great. So it's a mixture of vengeance as well as protection, and I think it's a healthy balance. So partly in what President Trump is going to achieve in wiping out the deep state and pulling security clearances and monitoring people, even moving parts of the government out of Washington, D.C. and into other states and cities and stuff, which is cool. Part of that is not only designed as retribution for the fact that these people have been abusing us for God knows how long, but it's also protection of his administration and what they aim to do, because there's no way to do this in the formulation that we had in 2016, where you had Obama and all these bureaucrats. He was stuffing the bureaucracy before he left, and they all wound up being detractors of Donald Trump. He's not allowing that to happen again. It's not going to happen again.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And again, we've never seen anything like it. I don't think anything has been cobbled together that Trump's got on the table like this since the original founding and framing of the United States, where guys who didn't want to be politicians, threw their hat in the ring just to get this grand experiment in self-governance off the tarmac and stuff. And so it's an incredibly interesting day. It's not a Mitt Romney presidency. It's not a George W. It's not a John McCain. This thing is, we've never seen the likes of this. And all the bad actors on the left and the right, they should be freaking scared. And you know who else should be scared, Jamie? And can you imagine this? The terror that's in their heart right now. The drug cartels that are sex trafficking, that are human trafficking, that are filling our streets and cities with fentanyl. They're going to be deemed terrorists. And guess what? Our military, Jamie, gets to, how can I put this? Yeah, go at them at will. And I bet they'll go at them with such a vengeance, jacked up on Mountain Dew with lemon juice and razor blades. And we're going to see a big purge come of the criminal element where, down here in Texas, I'm 3 hours off the border, and it's like I'm freaking living, 20 miles south of the border. It's so bad around here. And it's trickling up, obviously, to St. Louis and other places, too. And people are sick of the crap, man. And, the left thinks that, that we didn't notice, or we're just these bitching and moaning xenophobes. And it's like, no, it's destroyed our way of life. It's threatened our children, our daughters. And then not to mention again, the frickin' fentanyl and 300,000 missing children at least in the United States. And that crap is going to get turned off. And I can't wait, buddy.
Yeah.
And you and I busted our asses for years. I was talking to my editors over at Clash Daily. Since 2000, when Joe Biden got put behind that desk for Bill Boink Monica, we've done over 20,000 articles stumping for Trump, podcasts, television interviews, videos, all kinds of stuff just to derail these Marxist radicals inside the Beltway. So you deserve a big high five. Everybody else who are listening in your audience who, instead of shutting up, opened their mouth and made their God and country, traditional constitution, common sense views loud and proud, made them very known. Man, everybody ought to pat each other on the back, high five, go get a beer at your buddy's place that you were just talking about. And then we should all get on our frickin' face, kiss the ground, and thank God Almighty that he sovereignly superintended this derailment of cackling Kamala and her Marxist cabal.
I love it. And, you can almost say that this mandate that President Trump received on Election Day is indeed kind of a brand new formulation of the Declaration of Independence. And everything he listed about even dismantling the deep state and talking about bureaucracies and talking about accountability and all that kind of stuff is seemingly a brand new Declaration of Independence. So you nail it there, brother. You did send me a screenshot. So is this Donald Trump Jr.? This is great, man. He sent you a text with one of your paintings in it? Like what was this?
Yeah. So I put on my Instagram account, which is at the Giles Way over at Instagram. I put a painting that I did of Trump on safari, and he's kneeling behind the Democratic donkey that he just smoked with his 375 H&H Magnum built on a CZ 550 action. The detail on that rifle, Jamie, like if you know what I'm painting and what I'm talking about, you're like, dude, you nailed it. That rifle is perfection. The checkering on the forearm, the checkering on the grip, the action, the bolt face, the profile of the receiver. Boo, baby. And so anyway, I posted it on Instagram, and somebody came in and took it, reposted it. And you know how this stuff goes. It just went nuts. And then Don Jr. sent me a message, a private message like, dude, is this yours? And I was like, yep. That's fantastic. So here's a painting, Jamie, that I've been holding on for 4 years because I didn't figure on the deep rig that was going to go down in 2020. But it's so prophetic now, given the election results. I'm going to show it to you. And for your listeners and viewers that are watching, this is Trump enjoying his trophy room. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's got Kamala's head there, Joe Biden's head.
Yeah. So there's
Hillary's head. Oh, no, Pelosi's head. Yeah.
I can't really see it.
Yeah.
So there's Trump, and he's got his Argyle socks on and his Doc Martens, and he's enjoying his trophy room, the spoils of victory, Jamie.
Yeah. Argyle socks and Doc Martens, huh? Awesome.
Yeah. I had to stretch back to, my Scottish roots, bro.
Yeah.
So I've got seven. I've got 7 Trump originals, and they're going to be cobbled together in a coffee table book for the inauguration with all of my Trump paintings. I've done 40 of them. 33 of them are sold. I held back 6 or 7 that are now available for after, he won the election, which I was, again, keeping them at bay until it was cleared A-OK. So if you got some buddies out there that love Trump and they love Mad Magazine, because that's the spirit I flow in.
Yeah.
When I was painting the Golden Comb Over one, they can have an original, and we sell tens of thousands of the prints. Don Jr. has one, Trump slaying the Red Dragon, and President Trump has the Trumpinator painting. Yeah.
That's awesome, brother. Right at DougJiles.org or DougJilesArt.org.
.art. That's direct.
.art. I never get that right. I should write it down sometime. But thank you, brother, for that one. And, one thing I liked about Mad Magazine, just as an aside, I remember being so mesmerized. Remember when they had the one page, and if you folded it together, it created a brand new picture? I was always like, that's amazing that they pulled that off. But yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's before, computers and all that stuff, got into, making things happen, and AI. It just took a lot of creativity that those nut jobs had. I tell you, man, it's like I cut my teeth on cartooning. And so Mort Drucker in particular, his satire stuff where he would just poke fun at the movies and draw all these incredible actors, just absolute phenomenal cartoonist. Also, Angelo Torres, not as good as Mort in my estimation, but just freaking great. And Jamie, when I was from the time I ever, cracked open a Mad Magazine, it's probably about 6 years old, till, I don't know, 36. I've always gone back when I'm honing my edge on cartooning and just see how Drucker and Torres really executed their craft. And again, they did it way before, they had any advanced tools. And those guys were the what true deal artists extraordinaire. And funny stuff, man.
I think we could find some secrets if we just go back to Spy versus Spy. And because I think there was really some governmental overtones in that part of the Mad Magazine cartooning too.
Hey, you're I know you're being cheeky, but you're probably right, because those guys were the old school liberals.
Yeah.
They distrusted government big time. I mean, they would be like in league with right now, like RFK Jr., big anti-government, not a friend of the McCarthyites and the Warren Commission and guys like that. And they left breadcrumbs and bread trails and yellow brick roads throughout their cartoon and their satire. And I think it's a cool day. You're seeing people going back to, the coalition that Trump built. You're seeing this tent thing that's being created, Jamie. I've never seen anything like this.
Oh man, no.
And it's not the left that's Quran. It's not the left that's the zeitgeist of this kind of shift in the political milieu. It's the frickin' conservatives.
Yep.
And I think hilarious. And Jamie, we've been pitched as bigoted, xenophobe, sexist, transphobe, Islamophobes. And it's like, no, we've got the Muslims. They voted for Trump, you dumbasses. And we've got, young women, Gen Zers. They got gaslit by cackling Kamala. And next thing you know, they kind of turned out a little bit more than we thought. And look, there's the brothers that are coming to it. Oh, the Hispanics are over here. They're coming in drove. And Mom and Dad just went, red for Trump. They don't know what to do.
No. And even when they're lashing out, it doesn't make any sense at all when you're calling, Hispanics racist and black men misogynist. It's like, doesn't make any sense at all. And there's such fools. And I got to tell you, this coalition, and that's why I think, when President Trump talked about the golden age and all the things he's doing about the deep state and everything else, and including the dismantling the media structure as it is. And I'm not talking about just, shutting media places down, but I'm talking about through rhetorical brilliance like we always have. I think eventually this keeps that coalition together, because the only thing that really will is success, and the only thing that will give us success is by fumigating these termites and these pests and these people who basically are not serious about this United States of America. And we have a whole new group of people who are in that coalition. I'm glad we're going to keep it there. So that's what we need to do.
Yeah, you look at Hamas, they're like, we quit. There's caravans coming to our southern border, Jamie, and they just got cut in half in a day. They're like, we're not gonna give this a shot, because we're not long for that land once that golden comb over gets in that Resolute desk. Also, here's another perk for your listeners. The average age for a homeowner since the be damned days of Biden is 56 years old. That's going to come south.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's going to come south, because when Trump starts drilling, Jamie, by fiat, the fuel costs, the food cost, the housing costs are all going to start coming way down.
Right.
And the money, Jamie, also that we're going to save on movies and rock concerts and Netflix and Prime Video subscriptions and rentals and all that stuff, because a bunch of stars and singers who think that we're garbage, we're never going to watch their stuff anymore. And so we're going to be flush with entertainment money to use on other stuff going forward. I love it, man.
Yeah.
And the fake news, oh my God. If they thought that they were irrelevant heretofore, they just got their butts handed to you. Here's your butt by the podcast bros, by the Jamie Allmans, by the Doug Giles, by the chicks out there that are stumping for freedom, faith, and family. And I guarantee we're going to see them go down even further in the abysmal American Standard vortex of TV toilet news, and they're going to be so irrelevant. And they did it to themselves, man. They did it to themselves, bro.
Yeah. I mean, irrelevancy practically just overnight. We watched it wipe away as we watched President Trump get elected. And folks, if you want to enjoy more of Doug Giles, especially his columns, he's got a new column out. We dodged a demonic political bullet, and that's a really good one. So check that out at ClashDaily.com. Check out all the great art, all the great Christmas gifts, everything else as we head into the holidays at DougGiles.art. And buddy, first of all, congratulations on a hard-fought win and a real just balloon of gratitude to you for you and the team at Clash Daily and all that you've been doing, especially being on the air with me as long as you have and everything else. And thank you for the time and the energy, the passion for this beautiful country, and the passion for all of our American brothers and sisters that you have, brother. You're the best.
Stay rowdy, Jamie. Thank you, too. Good
you
dog.
too, bud. That is the great Doug Giles, ClashDaily.com. Check it out. All right, as promised, coming up, a little reminiscence, because I actually want to go back to seeing, what was it like Monday? Because it seems like Monday was 5 years ago. But Tuesday, oh, yeah, that was a day that I don't think we enjoyed all that much as we could, because it was such in a fog. Half of us were so tired. We're like, people were texting, and you're like, I didn't text them back, shoot, that kind of thing. And then, of course, we got into Thursday and Friday, and now we're having a little fun because it's finally all just kind of sinking in. So we'll be back. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
You're listening to the Allman Report on NewsTalkSTL.
Good evening, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report here at NewsTalkSTL. So, I'm telling you what, I don't really believe President Trump is lucky in a way. I just think he's blessed, you know? And it's actually a mixture of Trump being blessed and the Kamala campaign being cursed. And deservedly so, because they are trying to do things the dishonest way, and that's never going to work. So you saw after this SNL thing, right, where Kamala Harris appears on SNL, Brendan Carr, the FCC commissioner, says this is an absolute go-around of the rules regarding political programming and equal time. This is totally an end around of that, a violation of the FCC standards. NBC probably figured they'd do it. They didn't care about any kind of rules. That's kind of what liberals do. They just don't care. And they figure if you get in their way, well, you're probably just angry because she's a black woman on SNL and you're just angry. You know, all these kinds of things they usually do. But NBC Universal, which is the parent company, did take the admonition from Brendan Carr seriously. And so what they did was they offered Donald Trump an appearance during Sunday Night Football. And when you look at this and these viewer numbers, you're going to laugh out loud because SNL didn't comply with FCC numbers, FCC rules, and had 5 million people watching them. And I guess in an attempt to kind of get one up on Donald Trump and go around the rules and just say screw you to Donald Trump and the campaign and the FCC rules and everything else, they wound up actually giving Trump an appearance during Sunday Night Football. And guess what the audience for Sunday Night Football was? 20 million people. So their little joke or their little thing, they got 5 million viewers out of it, and who knows how many of those viewers actually like Kamala. And because of their idiocy and their bucking of the rules, they wound up gifting Donald Trump with time during Sunday Night Football that had 20 million people watching it. And I don't know whether they all supported Trump, but they darn sure were watching. 20 million people versus 5, we'll take it. And Trump, of course, did too.
Nothing worth doing ever came easy.
Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation.
Never, ever quit. Never quit. Adversity makes you stronger. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedoms. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him.
President Trump is back in a New York City courtroom.
When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison.
Raided by the FBI.
When that didn't work, they even tried to kill him.
They just tried to kill President Trump.
Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again.
This is Donald Trump's house, brother.
This election, we all get to choose. I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American badass. The 45th and soon to be 47th President Donald J. Trump.
20 million people.
Starting on day one, we will defeat inflation quickly and we will make America affordable again. I will cut your energy costs in half. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break. We are going to bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. When I'm back in the White House, we will restore world peace, and it will be again peace through strength. I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. And we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. We all salute the same great American flag. Our best days are yet to come. Together, we will make America great again.
The Trump campaign and these guys, their talents, whatever videos, the people behind the videos are putting together, all this stuff, just absolute nails. And the fact that that kind of messaging, appeared before 20 million people only because NBC screwed up, only because of NBC's hubris, only because of the vice president of the United States' willingness to buck federal government regulations, did Donald Trump get his message to 20 million people for nothing. That's winning, people. That's winning. I wanted to bring you this also from over the weekend because I thought it was very important because, Peanut the Squirrel might not seem like a big deal, trivial, whatever. It's not, which is why President Trump's campaign talked about it. They're not missing beats when it comes to talking about issues on the micro as well as the macro. So this rally in Salem, Virginia was awesome. President Trump invited the members of the Roanoke College women's swim team up on stage. And this is the swim team who stood up against the radical left after this transgender athlete tried to join the team. And they stood up. And you talk about women's rights, and all the liberal women, the left women, always want to talk about women's rights. And yet when it comes to the rights of young women and girls to be able to conduct themselves in athletics without having to compete against males, women abandon them. The liberal women just abandon these girls. And Donald Trump didn't. He's more of a feminist than these liberal, crazy women. And the team thanked him.
Thank you so much, President Trump. As female athletes especially, we know that men have an inherent advantage over women in sports. And due to current policies, though, men are competing against women of all ages in all sports. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have advocated for and pushed for this anti-woman sex-based discrimination to continue all over this country. And point blank, it's unfair. So I would like to thank you, President Trump, for standing with women and promising to protect the rights of all of us. We are so lucky to have a leader like Donald Trump with common sense who knows what a strong woman is and will fight for generations of girls to come. Thank you so much, and God bless America.
I mean, just such money and so right and authentic.
What a good job. Thank you, Lily.
Oh,
How
Lily.
about if we introduce each member of the team? Lily, can we do that? Come on up here. Just say your name.
And then he wants to introduce them each by name.
So I'm Lily Mullins. There you go.
I'm Kate Pearson. I'm Katie Blankenship. I'm Juliana Morrow. I'm Hallie Short. I'm Susanna Price. And I'm Carter Satterfield.
And you know what the beauty of all that is? Not only in the delivery and everything else, but to Donald Trump, that wasn't just a team. That was an assembly of a group of young individual women who matter. And these little things do matter. It's not just in Trump's policies and everything else, but it's an indicator that Trump believes, and that's just a little thing where they all introduce themselves by name. That's a little thing, but that means a lot. When he considers them to be individuals with a name. Each of them have a name, each of them important. And symbolically, that delivers. And again, these guys know how to do it. Trump does too, because Trump's real. Individually, that gives them significance individually, not only as a team, but also individually, and makes each one of them important. And to Donald Trump, I will tell you on the eve of this election, if by now people don't realize that Donald Trump cares about everybody in this country, everybody who lives in this country and who is a citizen, granted all the rights of the Constitution and beyond, but also are people to be cared about and people to be attended to and important in the eyes of him and his future administration. That's how it all goes. Ethan Valencia, thank you so much for the show, brother. And you guys have a great, blessed rest of your evening.
You're listening to the Allman Report on NewsTalkSTL.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Wednesday to all of you and yours. You know how many people this morning sent me this music? Because this is what I played the day after the election of 2016. And of course, everybody remembers I said that this is 2016 all over again. I'm no genius, so I'm not saying it was amazing, but I also said he was going to win the popular vote because I changed my mind, because like a month ago I said, well, maybe he won't win the popular vote. He'll definitely win the Electoral College. And he won the popular vote because I adjusted it the week before the election because it was so convincing. So this morning, people sent me this song because it's the it's my trademark Trump victory song. And people remember. Here again. Come on, people. They asked, where's the double-decker bus that we were going to be driving around the community on, waving at people as they shed their liberal tears. Hi. Everything going okay for you people over there? How about you over there? Hi. With our top hats and our monocles, right? That was the vision I had, and still do, as a matter of fact. I don't know. We still have so much time before the inauguration to get that double-decker bus. I know there is one sitting in a parking lot as you drive to the airport. It's the old Cheshire Inn double-decker bus. So maybe we can actually kind of refurbish that now that we have unlimited amounts of money. No, I'm just saying. And use that one. Although it might be easier just to kind of rent one. I think it's the Trump campaign on that. If they could rent a garbage truck or buy one, they could certainly get us a double-decker bus. And check this out, though. It might wind up that my other prediction is going to be true because I predicted 313 electoral college votes, and we could get there. And maybe even more. Unbelievable. But not unbelievable at all. Totally and completely predictable. You know how many people last night that I had to talk off the ledge all throughout the evening? I don't know. I'm so nervous. What's going to go on? I go, he's going to win. I mean, once the numbers were coming in from Dallas and Philly and Miami and everything else, it was so obvious that he was going to win. I just had to sit there and, don't worry, I'll call Georgia in about 3, 2, 1. And Georgia is called, but, it just kept on going and going and going. What a wonderful, beautiful night. And a great night for America. Yes, it was a great night for Donald J. Trump, but he is us, so it was a great night for us and America. And a really abysmal night for Kamala Harris, but she made it more abysmal by disappearing on her people. Like by not showing up at Howard University. By just totally trashing and ignoring your people. That's how you really see the character of somebody. And that really is too bad. I feel sorry, really, for a lot of these people who were misled by the news media that basically just invented and made up this idea that Kamala Harris had a rat's chance in hell of winning the race. It was so obvious she wasn't fit. It was so obvious she was a dimwit. Walz was a disaster. And I never thought this election was even going to be close. And it wasn't. A lot of you, I don't know how many people I talked to at the bar and think, I don't know, what do you think's going to happen? I go, he's going to win. There's no way. And then last night, she didn't show up at Howard University. And Barbara Heineback is one of the people that used to be a White House staffer. And Howard University is like a historically black college. And it was Kamala Harris who kept on talking about how blackish she was and everything else. And then she leaves these people stranded at her so-called victory party at Howard University. And it's like, this is where you really get the idea that, man, did America dodge a bullet here in terms of making sure she wasn't going to be elected. I mean, if she were elected, this is the kind of person that we would have had in the White House. Instead, we have an amazing one. And this is what Barbara Heineback said when she was interviewed about the whole thing.
Disappointed and really insulted. I'm a Howard alum, and that she didn't have the decency to walk out and say something to her, to her university, make a comment to the United States. Things were not looking well for her. It wasn't completely over, but short of a miracle, we knew which way this was going.
Yeah. But she didn't have the decency to show up at this event and show her face. She's conceding now, but that's it. And then the numbers, this is CNN, and they were just, Jake Tapper was shocked. Why were you shocked?
You asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
By 3% or more.
Not one county. Did she outperform Joe Biden in any part of the country over 2020? Not one. And so not only did she lose the election, she lost it incredibly and terribly. And then she lost it without any class at all. And it was just such an exciting night. And to see Donald Trump, and especially Barron, you see how tall that guy is? Unbelievable. It just is incredible that President Trump was able to pull this off. And keep in mind, I never called him former president, ever. Not in any amount of moments or any time else, I never called him former President Trump. And it was really just kind of to stick it to the left. I never thought he lost the election in 2020 anyway. But I never called him former President Trump. I'm glad I didn't. And guess what? It came around once again that he's current President Trump. Pretty unbelievable, pretty amazing. And I say unbelievable, but it wasn't unbelievable at all. And I will have to tell you, too, that was kind of my night. It was kind of a weird night because I was popping in on NewsTalkSTL, and I was, driving around, listening, finally went home and watched the rest of it. And I went by the grocery store, and I picked up a bottle of whiskey, and I picked up like a little thing of egg salad. Got into my car to kind of listen to the rest of everything and realized I didn't have a spoon or a fork or anything. So I'm sitting in my car, took a little drink of whiskey, and ate the egg salad with a bottle opener. Have you ever eaten an egg salad with a bottle opener there, Ethan? You ought to try it sometime.
I've never been there.
It works. You've never been that low, have you? Yeah, I ate that stuff with a bottle opener, yo. And I ate it not with the bottle opener part, but with the one that has the pointy edge on it where you open it. We're supposedly opening cans and stuff with that. I don't know where the hell a bottle opener came from, and I didn't care where it had been either. I was hungry. That's what I was. Hey, I'm going to chime in right now with my buddy Rick Pogue because we're celebrating. He's down there in beautiful Key West, Florida, man. And right now, every place is a sunny paradise as far as we're concerned, but Key West is looking pretty good. Rick Pogue, how you doing, brother?
Hey, brother, how are you? What a beautiful time, right? So, yeah, it's pouring down rain here in Key West. I'm at the beautiful Sunset Pier at the end of Duval Street in Key West. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a beautiful sunny day after last night. What an amazing night.
Doesn't it rain every day down there at some point, like at 3:00, usually in the afternoon or something down in Florida?
Oh, it does. Yeah, it'll rain. Like it's raining right now, but an hour and a half from now, the sun will be out. It's crazy. The Keys are amazing. I came down here for the first time, Jamie. I think we talked about it about a year and a half ago. Never been here before. I came down here. My buddy Jake came down, who owns Johnny's Hideout with me, and he goes, "You got to see Key West." So I went down here with him, and I'm hanging here for about half a day, and I'm like, let me get this straight. It's like being in Bourbon Street, but it's like being in the Bahamas and Bourbon Street at the same time. Palm trees. Ron DeSantis is the governor. I can carry a gun in my pocket. It's a red state. I don't need a passport. I'm buying a house here. And that's kind of how that conversation went. So that's how it started. But absolutely love it here. We're down here celebrating. Jake and I both are down here literally celebrating what happened yesterday.
Oh, yeah, we're having a little bit of an issue with the link down there because, Paradise is great. Paradise is wonderful. But, you're not always going to have the best kind of service down there. And that's okay because you're not supposed to be on the phone anyway when you're in Key West as it is. And Rick, if I'm not mistaken, I did see some of the pictures you sent. Apparently it's also raining women down in Key West. So
it is. It is. Well, I mean, the boat races are the next few days. So there's a hurricane, but nobody seems to care about that. They're having the boat races.
Yeah.
We came down for that. We were planning for that place. But yeah, it's Jamie, you would not believe how many Trump supporters there are down here. It is a party down here. It is phenomenal. What happened last night was truly life-altering for our country. We've been able to push evil off for another 4 years, maybe 8 or 12 years, depending on JD.
Yeah, we're having some issues with that line down there. You got the cell services.
I went to bed 2 a.m. this morning, and after Fox declared it for Trump, and I had a great 1 hour sleep where I had to get to the plane.
Yeah, well, what's crazy is that I was watching it on Fox. I didn't look at any other stations, but what was incredible to me is watching all these people who were surprised. Oh, my Lord. Oh, this is going on. We knew this was going to happen the whole time. I never had a doubt in my mind that President Trump would win this election. And I just love seeing all these people who were surprised. And then it turns out that white suburban women, and I told you people this time and time and time again, white suburban women love Donald Trump. He's got a problem with white suburban women. He's got a problem with white suburban women. And it's like, no, he doesn't. I know them. They listen to the show. I see them all the time. In fact, I said not too long ago, last week I believe it was, I said it seems to me that suburban white women are some of the strongest Trump supporters around, unlike some of their pansy candy-ass husbands.
They are.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. They are. They are. And white suburban women have common sense, and so do most Black American men. and so do most Hispanic Americans. It's a matter of common sense, Jamie. It's not a matter of emotion. And Commie, that's what I call her, and that's what I'll continue to call her. Thank God we don't have to listen to her cackle anymore.
I know. But yeah. I'll tell you what, I gotta get to Jimmy Carafano anyway on the other side of this, and so I'm getting you, but we're just having problems with our connection to Rick Paradise Pogue.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Kamala ran on a platform of emotion and vagueness. I mean, the American people, and they proved this in 2016. They're not stupid, and thank God, because I do get worried. I mean, I do get worried about how ignorant people become with all the dumbing down that the press, the national media does, and the Democrat Party does. America stood up and said, "No, we're done. We're done. We've had enough. We want to go back to being great, make America great again. We want to be wealthy again. We want to be the world's exporter of energy. We want to dominate the world, and we want common sense, frankly. We don't want."
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break here. I want to let you know more than anything that this segment sponsored by Schneider's True Value Hardware, more than 100 years in Old Town St. Peter's. And Jerry Schneider's a great guy, strong supporter of free, common sense, conservative radio. He's a wonderful guy. You walk in there, it's totally old school. It's just like the old days at Schneider's True Value Hardware. All you have to do is go to truevalue.com/Schneiders. You can get all the details, but it's right there in Old Town St. Peter's, and it's been there for more than 100 years. And I can't thank Schneider's True Value Hardware enough for supporting free, common sense, conservative radio. Hey, Rick Paradise Pogue, listen, we'll be able to connect with you at some point in a better connection, but I think we've definitely got the picture from you about what a wonderful night last night was, and more importantly, what a wonderful next 4 years this will be. And I have to personally thank you, as I'm thanking all of you people out there listening to the Allman Show, for your undying and dedicated support to Donald Trump. You kept your heads up. You kept your heads full in front. You were warriors on every single level. Warriors in your community, warriors among your friend set, with your family, everything else. And this victory is a beautiful one. It is totally and completely ours, and totally not unexpected. We knew this was going to happen. And I feel kind of bad for some of these other people out there, especially the liberals, although I shouldn't feel bad for them, Rick Pogue. But they were lied to by the news media, who propped up this dimwit, and they knew she wasn't capable, and they created this whole weird Keebler elves land that they all existed in for the past year or so, or ever since she took over, and they knew this wasn't going to happen. And so all they kept doing was trying to run him down, lie about him, do all this crap, but they knew this wasn't going to happen. So I feel bad that all these people believe for even a second that Kamala Harris would be the next president of the United States. I'll feel bad for like another 30 seconds, and then I'm done.
Yeah, I stopped feeling bad last night at 2 a.m., so I get it. The American people have come through again, just like they did in 2016. There were so many parallels between this election and 2016, Jamie. It's amazing to me.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take this break because I got to get Jimmy Carafano on here. Rick Paradise Pogue, you're the best, man. Love you so much, and we'll be back. This is the Allman Report.